And in fact, Mira Murati, who's the founder of Thinking Machines Lab, as she says, we're building multimodal AI that works with how you naturally interact with the world through the messy way we collaborate. That messy way gives way more data than a flat picture. Lionsgate Vice Chairman Michael Burns said, now we can say, do it in anime. And out comes an animated version of John Wick. Now, for a production company owning John Wick and Twilight and The Hunger Games, they're trying to put together an AI with Runway, and they're excited about what's happening. But poof, put the brakes on. The game's sort of over. We're now finding out it's really hard to make movies with AI. So what happened to Lionsgate and Runway's experiment with video? The Lionsgate catalog is too small to create a model, one source said. In fact, the Disney catalog is too small to create a model. I'm looking at this and saying, what's going wrong here? I mean, if we look at the Lionsgate catalog, I took a look at, they have 17,000 titles, 8,000 are movies. So let's just, for doing this sake, say 2 hours per movie, that's 16,000 hours, plus an hour for the other 9,000. That's 9,000 hours is maybe 25,000. 25,000 hours is too little. Let's double it to 50. Let's say my numbers are all off. Even 50 is wrong. Now, they didn't fail because they don't know what they're doing or they're just making things up. It's because scaling video in large language models is really, really hard. And everything in AI is like a one-year experiment to figure it out. And this simply, where we are now, didn't work out. And it shows that a single studio catalog can't give it enough data to train it. That actually says we need more video for AI training. And I found in an interview about Trovio, which is one of the best video AI licensing companies. Why? Because they're actually talking numbers, showing what they're doing, even if it's just early. One Trovio client claimed that they were in the market for 50,000 hours of dog videos. That's more probably than Lionsgate has. Because the dogs that they were getting generated with their AI were coming out as cats, and there was a lot of money and a quick problem to solve. So the value of video to AI training isn't something I can write on a straight line and say, this is what you're going to get paid. I can tell you that Trovio's quoting $1 to $4 a minute, and that really is more like 80 cents to maybe $3.70, but we'll do $1 to $4 a minute. But it had me take a look at this space and go, Lionsgate has all this money and all this data, but it's not enough. These other companies are talking about it. Other companies are using video data. There's this huge move, and not many are talking about, could we supply AI data with video? And could we make a living out of it? And that's where I came to the idea that to do that, you're going to have to break the $4 a minute barrier. Yes, it can work at $1 to $2. We'll look at that. But the 4-minute thing is where this gets looking really, really good. So while everybody's debating YouTube algorithms, I'm looking at the value video you have right now, an asset you may have that may have value to AI. If it doesn't, wouldn't that tell you something about your use of that data with AI, whether you license it out or not? Because AI companies are running through training data after going through the entire internet. We need more and more. It's almost insatiable. And video clearly points out to being one of those that is in line for huge growth. I'm a startup person at heart. That's what I do. I want to know that these numbers, if they make sense, work. And if I want to use this to create, let's say, some side income, I did a video project. I shot my podcast and I've got this extra footage. Why wouldn't I use it? And is there any value there? The answer, it's not about views. It's not about sponsorships. It's about real value of real training data in video. And even Tesla found that a deer crossing in snowstorm is more valuable than you driving on the highway. I'll get to that example in just a second, which brings me to why I think video is so interesting. Because while we only have one claim by one company of doing $5 million in sales for creators, why would that company, and talking about $20 million in overall revenue, that's actually a sign of a startup trying to make money, not trying to brand itself, having you wait another couple of years till the lawsuits settle out. So let's see why some video earns more than others. I mean, why does $30 for 30 minutes of video in one sense get paid $4 a minute or $120? How can we figure this out? Your goal with whatever video you have is to figure out what is standard and premium and what you would get paid for that. For example, you can say rare weather events, but give me an example and I would push you towards Tesla. Tesla's example is not about pricing per minute, but the value of premium versus standard simulation learning, because that's essentially what video is doing. Now, we're not in Tesla. Their use of video and training is used to get an idea of what's valuable and what's not. Pricing isn't really involved. I mean, costs are. So the value of the data, there's no specific monetary value, but the value to AI training is where this kind of idea of what's premium and what's standard, this might be a Tesla case study, but other people have other, like the person who needs 50,000 hours of dog training really quick, urgency, demand, and also the fact that sometimes you don't have enough data to do the job. But in Tesla's case, they've got a lot of data for premium versus standard segmentation, which is an internal AI value. That's not a market price, right? This is an internal value, however they value it to their training. Most footage comes from user cars, so their costs are sort of built into the product, operational, not per minute purchases. It's not like they have to hire a camera person, an actor, a director, a writer, a producer. I mean, you go on and on. That's what makes video very difficult to license. But what they do is they already have the footage from the cars. And when they look at it, the AI video data, these are what they found is that edge cases, rarities, uniqueness are far more valuable than what they see day to day. An example, people driving along the same old highway like I-5 where I live, it doesn't change that much day to day. The cars do, but that data becomes pretty repetitive. So the training value is in there, but if we're doing $1 to $4 as a valuation, it would be on the lower end. Where the higher end seems to be those edge cases, like in a dark snowstorm, a deer jumps out from the side of the road, or something slides in front of you all of a sudden. This is where edge cases in driving teach Tesla more than what they see in standard data. That's not to say one's more valuable than the other. One's premium, which are the edge cases, the unusual, and the other isn't. So what makes video content valuable to an AI training system is obviously so dependent on what their needs are and what they're looking to develop overall. Like Lionsgate was trying to develop films that would come out of its existing content. That wasn't so easy. One of the beginning points is what makes content valuable across the board is 4K. If I'm searching to break the 4-minute barrier, I'm not going to do it with less than 4K. And maybe there's AI that turns old SD and earlier formats, not 4K, into 4K. That's part of probably what includes synthetic data and all these other ways they're trying to fill up this insatiable need for video data. But for us, let's stay focused on the video data. Obviously, we want to have an unusual compositional angle. In the frame that you're looking at, we can look lower, we can look higher, we can look side to side. There are 360 degrees to any view. So what are the unique angles? What is the framing of the actual shot? What is the temporal uniqueness, time lapse, transitions? Remember the element of time in the video you're shooting, but seeing something that you don't see every day. Do you see what I mean by edge cases? What you don't normally see. The stuff you do, like me talking on this podcast. I could sell these videos, but I could only sell me talking on the podcast because I use what's called B-roll. Take a look at this over my face right now. That's B-roll, some video image or audio that I use, but I don't have permission to put it into AI licensing. So I would have to take that out. Then I'm only a talking head, and we're really talking like $1 a minute there. Not bad. If you shoot 60 minutes, keep 20, and you have 60 minutes to sell at $1, you make $60. It's not going to get you rich, but it does help some of the costs. But you can see why the $4 a minute is really not only the goal, but really to exceed that. That's a lot less money if you're actually shooting and doing something creative. But if you're out in the middle of the woods shooting a vista, some mountains, watching the weather change, that kind of time lapse could be really ideal to sell. But you want to look into this first, see what the demand is, and then fill it with the content either you create or curate by working with other people. Because there's a lot of videos sitting around that people don't even know what to do with, and that many are using to push into this early market. So if you want to know what kind of video is valuable, you want to go to the places selling it. Now, I'm showing you Trovio only because it's the most obvious and most transparent at this stage. But if you look down at their categories, you can see what they're selling. Obviously, nature. And you can see if you're looking on this video version, I include links in my Substack and on YouTube. We're seeing all sorts of nature scenes, mostly without the faces of people. This makes it really valuable. We're seeing sports. Sports is another one, but again, you have to have the sign off. Though most of these events, the athletes and things sign off. But when there's people involved, there are a lot of rights involved, and that could stop you from being able to move forward. Bottom line, less people, the better. That's why nature works really well. There's all sorts of like a new media category, which again is like TikTok and commercials and things like that. There's scripted, which helps AI learn from the different training, like in a commercial, facial expressions, facial recognition. But if we use unscripted and it's more random, that might put more of the knowledge because these are not usual behaviors. They're not predictable. Therefore, theoretically, more learning for it. Now we see what the market shapes up like. You seem to go to the different sites to see what type of video. That's going to be a shoot where you want to figure out what categories are getting offered and getting purchased and following that trend, because it's impossible to predict if that 50,000 hour dog video need is something that's just like here and there, or if there's a consistent demand for what's happening. So audit your archives. Here's your final steps. Your cost, editing adds up, permissions and legal needed. You don't undercut editing. Thinking you're just going to send this into editing almost makes this not worth it under $3 a minute. It's got to be raw footage, pretty much out the door, not requiring a lot of editing. That's what adds up the cost, the administrative. Also putting all the legal stuff. I mean, take a look. Here's video metadata for AI licensing, something I show all the time. It has basic information that the title, subtitle, but the rights. What are the creative rights? What are the talent and production rights? Often this is what's stopping big Hollywood movies from getting into AI. They have so many people with a piece of the pie. It makes it really hard to license, which is our advantage, having more modern kind of film and modern kind of documentaries in the TikTok world where that is less important. But if somebody's on there, you should have permissions. Performance data, your views, distribution. Have lots of people seen it? Do you have a good following? Do you make money? Viewer reviews and ratings, awards, recognition. And of course, your content. What's the category? How many video minutes? How many hours? The language or languages it's in. Content description and summary, your keywords and your tags. All of this helps AI understand it, because without this, you're going to lose a lot of value. You can't just go taking your video, throwing it into a zip file, which puts it all into one file and say, good luck, read it, here's 50 hours, I get paid. But think of it as a one-time payment. Don't expect a repeat. So make sure you negotiate, hold out for what you think it's worth, because you're not likely to get a second chance. You want to make sure that you're preparing for marketplaces. Trovio is a great one, but Protege is almost like beyond a marketplace. They work with AI developers. They work with people with large volumes of video content, and they put a match there based on the training. They have an in-depth relationship. This isn't saying Trovio doesn't, but Trovio is more entry level, where Protege is more enterprise level, the bigger companies. So if you're looking to sell serious amounts of it, you're going to go to a marketplace. Serious amounts means thousands and thousands of hours. That's tough to get. Plus, having all the permissions signed off. A bigger company like Protege, which doesn't even list pricing, says to contact them, is obviously one targeting a higher market. When you don't see pricing as a startup person, you know the price is expensive. And that's a good thing. They don't want to share their per minute. They don't want to share what they're doing. That's kept private and under non-disclosure, which is why Trovio is so great, because it's one of the few places that people are buying licensed video from, and you can see an idea of what types they're buying or the categories that Trovio picks out. 4K, you want more than $3 a minute, 4K, period. And you need your digital right management status. That's not to scare you away. That's to tell you why this is so valuable and why so many people will give up. It's not like just sending in a book or sending in a photo. Usually there's just a few people involved with video. There's a filmmaker, there's a writer, there's the director, there's the actor, or maybe it's just nature that you set up a camera to view, which is why I keep pushing that. Nature and weather and unusual views without people, no risk, easy to do raw. You don't have to think about it as long as somebody is buying it, if the demand fits the supply. Hey, Lionsgate couldn't get an AI with 50,000 hours, maybe 25,000. And that was what one company was willing to buy 50,000 hours worth of dog videos from Trovio, because all of a sudden they had an emergency, not because they did that on a day-to-day basis. So pricing will vary. Watch it and be patient. early markets, being patient helps, because there really is, even though I'm giving you guidelines, $1 to $4 is, I'd want you to make more. And that's just an early thing that we're being told by one company. Everybody else is keeping it. Hush, hush. Because they need more. And that more is video training for AI, and one that I do think has not only legs, but break the 4-minute barrier. $4 a minute is really where this gets interesting. And I can tell you, this is public pricing. Somebody's getting paid more. And the more that you get paid, the more you understand the real value of your video for AI training. And now this could be something that most people are missing, because most of this video is sitting around. Part of the garbage of doing a documentary or a film or a podcast are the many, many minutes we throw away. Have those in raw data without B-roll, without other people's stuff, you might get a little quick check. Have it all together and get thousands of minutes together with quantity and quality that meets what they're doing, but takes a little different view. I'm even thinking, I live in a canyon, maybe I'll do it. Set up a 24-hour camera, see if anyone buys the changing weather, the changing animals, the changing landscape, none of whom want permission. I think video training for AI has an immediate need, a way to collect it, and an outstanding source of video that we haven't even touched. But hey, I'm the AI optimist. See what you find and let me know what really works.